The cat just walked in the room. The cat just walked in the room. She'll be part of the video here. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I will be doing my top 5 Stephen King novels countdown. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been reading and reviewing all the Stephen King novels in publication order. We're up to about the Desperation Regulators area, so we're a little over halfway done, so I thought this would be a good spot to stop and just maybe do a top 5 novels of all time, Stephen King novels. Oh, Pretty Miss Kitty is so excited to be here. So excited. I'm going to have to start this whole video over just because this is the worst, absolute worst beginning I've ever done. Let's just get to the top 5 Stephen King novels of all time. And I based this top 5 off of just they're my top 5 favorite novels. And this is self-explanatory. But then these are also the novels that if people ask me, where should I start with Stephen King? These are also some of the novels that I tell people start with these novels because they're good entry points into Stephen King universe, some better than others. We will start with my 5th favorite novel. Now that Miss Kitty is gone, we can get to business. We'll get to business. My 5th favorite Stephen King novel of all time. Probably the one I tell people, start with this one if you're going to start with anything. The Green Mile. You know, I work at the Utah State Prison. I've always wanted to write my own prison novel. And every time I sit down to try, I'm like, I just think to The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, and I'm like, Stephen King's already done it. He's already done it as best as it can be done. I cannot compete with that. This is a great entry point into the Stephen King universe because it doesn't bludgeon you over the head with horror right to the begin with. And it's got great characters. It's got a great story that everyone can relate to. And it's just a really good entry point into Stephen King stuff. It's an easy read. It's not long. It doesn't overwhelm people. It engages people right from the beginning. People love stories about prisons, and Stephen King does a great job of describing the day in and day out stuff that prison guards do. It's a great starting point for people, and also a great novel. And out of the 80 or some odd novels he's written, it's like my 5th favorite one, and we'll be reviewing it probably in a month or two when I get to my 2nd favorite. Not my 2nd favorite. I'm already jumping ahead. I can't do math. We had 5. We're doing the top 5. I've just showed you one, which would have been the 5th one. This one's number 4. My 4th favorite Stephen King novel of all time is The Long Walk. This is another one that I recommend people start. If you want a great introduction into the quirky mind of Stephen King, The Long Walk is it. It's kind of like The Hunger Games. Actually, it's kind of the inspiration for The Hunger Games. I mean, Stephen King did The Hunger Games before The Hunger Games did The Hunger Games. Stephen King did it better with The Long Walk, where it's just a competition of these teenage boys, they have to walk from Maine to Florida without stopping, and if they do stop or if they do slow down, there's dudes with rifles along the way that shoot them dead. And it's a competition. There's a boy representing all 50 states. One boy represents one state, and whoever wins, that's the winner of the state. They get some prize. I can't remember what the prize is, but you just don't want to get shot. You don't want to slow down. You can't stop. I mean, you can eat, but you got to keep walking. You can. It's just it's weird. It's just quirky, weird Stephen King fun. And the most engaging short novel you're going to read. It's another good entry point because of the length isn't that great. just fantastic. The Long Walk by Stephen King. Number 4. What is my third favorite Stephen King novel of all time? 11/22/63. One of his more recent titles. I'm telling you, this thing had me gripping my seat from the opening page to the last page. I did not look away from one single word. I was riveted to this story. It's a time travel story, and I hate time travel stories. I mean, if it's not Back to the Future, and you say time travel, I'm like, I puke a little in my mouth. And so when I saw that Stephen King was doing a time travel story about the JFK assassination, I was just like, I puked a little in my mouth. Till I started reading it, and it became my third favorite Stephen King novel of all time. My favorite author, my third favorite book of his. Simple premise. A guy finds a portal. He can travel back in time. He wants to travel back to 1963 and foil the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And that's the story. And he travels back in time and he tries to foil it. But, oh my gosh. There's so much more than that. There's so much more than that. There's so much history, so much great research done on the assassination the successful assassination of John F. Kennedy, and so much research done about Lee Harvey Oswald, the whole thing, Dallas, Texas, the whole time period, everything. And it's just, not only is it a gripping story, but it's like a beautiful story. I actually teared up at the end of this one. Because the relationships that our main character forms when he travels back in time with the people back in, I'm just like, I teared up. I teared up. I don't often recommend people start with this one, but I have recommended it a few times and the people have loved it. 11/22/63, my number 2 favorite Stephen King novel is It. I don't even think I need to say anything more about It that hasn't already been said by a billion other people. And, if you've seen the movies, everybody knows it's about a killer clown. And it jumps back and forth in time between the 1950s and the 1980s. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant coming-of-age horror novel. I think it's like the quintessential horror novel. When we think of horror novels, this is what we think of. We think of It and The Killer Clown and Stephen King. When people say horror novel, bling, this is the image that comes in their mind. It's like, bling, bling. It is it's one of the greatest horror novels of all time, probably the greatest horror novel. My first favorite Stephen King in my top 5. This ain't no surprise to people. It's The Stand. Love it. Love it. Disease wipes out 99.9% of the planet. All the survivors, they see visions, and this, that, and the other, and the visions are pulling them towards Las Vegas, and they go on a journey, and it's my favorite novel not only is it my favorite Stephen King novel of all time, but if you watched my favorite novels of all time, this one finishes really high up on that list too. So you'll have to go to Brian Lee Durfee's favorite novels of all time, or top 10 novels of all time video to watch that and see where it ranks in my top 10 novels of all time. Certainly my top Stephen King novel of all time. Stephen King's my favorite novelist. That's my top 5. That's it. It's over. Done. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for the rest of the day.